What's up, y'all? We want to welcome you back to Elevate. My name is Kevin, and I'm here with one of my good friends, one of my best friends, Joseph Santos.
What's happening, Kev? How are we doing? And today, as you guys can see, we have our first guest today.
First guest,
Let's go. And I'm happy to introduce Connie Penick. Connie is definitely the older sister I never had. And she's also...
That's very cute.
Yeah. She's also my senior pastor's wife as well, and mother to Ari, she's just the most beautiful baby in the world. And we're just so happy that you decided to join us, Connie, and we're super excited about this podcast today.
Thank you, and hi to everybody on this podcast. I honestly feel really honored that you guys chose me to be in your first podcast. But no, honestly, like the fact that you guys are giving me a seat to this table.
Oh, no, this is
No,
gonna be
this-
great.
no,
Be
this is
able
gonna
to
be
share
fun.
and
Great.
be with you guys. So
No,
this is pretty
yes.
cool.
Yeah, but real talk though, I wonder how Will feels that we brought
Yes, I know.
for Joseph that we brought on the senior pastor's wife instead of the
Yes,
senior.
you know
pastor.
what?
I think he's okay with it, man.
He's fine.
He's fine. He'll be
He can lick
fine.
his wound.
We'll
It's
bring
okay.
we'll bring him back another
Yeah,
time.
we'll bring him back later. Oh man,
Yeah.
oh, that's so funny.
No,
That's
but thank
good.
you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited about what we're going to talk about. I mean, because these are the topics that you guys have been touching are really relevant, and you guys are very honest and real. So I like that. I'm glad I can be a part of this.
No, I think we're ready. And as you know, last week we talked about being single. And what are we talking about this week, Kev?
Today we're talking about dating.
Dating.
So things might get spicy today.
Oh, let's
And
go.
And cringy.
And cringy. It's gonna be a roller coaster ride,
Yes.
but you know what? I think
We're
it's gonna be a good
dark,
time.
deep.
Mercy.
I'm
Yeah,
scared.
But
humor.
there is hope at the end, guys. There is hope.
There is
that's
always
that's we're
hope.
always gonna
Amen.
wrap back to that.
Amen. Amen.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh man. But hey, so why don't you tell us a little about your relationship with Will, and more specifically, if you want to talk a little on how it was before you guys got married and now after, how that whole dynamic has changed and whatnot.
Okay. That's a loaded question.
We started good.
It's good. All right. For those that don't know who I am, I'll start off there. My name is Connie. Well, actually, did you guys know that Connie's actually not my real name?
Yeah, I do know
No,
that.
you
I
do.
didn't know that.
Yeah. My name is actually Concepcion.
Oh, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're Nicaraguan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Concepcion is like huge in our country.
Yep.
So,
My paisana.
yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, my name is Connie Penick. My husband's a senior pastor. Joseph is like my little brother, and
That's good.
he works with my husband, and so we've been pastoring for a long time in ministry. So, but yeah, like Will and I I've dated Will for 10 years. That's including marriage. So.
Dang. See, I love that.
Because the
dating never stops.
Dating never stops.
never
Number
stops.
one. There you go.
Never.
I love that.
So I've dated the same man for 10 years now. We're going to be celebrating 8 years this year. So yeah, it's honestly, it doesn't feel like it. And I think that's the best thing ever is when you don't feel it. It's not like dragging.
Yes.
The years are not dragging. But anyways, going back to your question, my relationship with Will before and after. All right, so before, I have to do disclaimers.
Okay.
I really do, because I've heard so many podcasts, and sometimes people take on the role of being a spokesperson, and I don't want to be that.
Okay.
So like, I would start off with disclaimer to everybody that's hearing. I might be a female, but I don't speak for all females.
There we
You
go.
know, like, I'm just a perspective. I'm coming from one perspective, an experience, an opinion. There's a lot of opinions in womanhood, so mine is just one. And so just wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah, okay.
Throw that one out there. And then the other one is, I'm going to talk about trauma. I'm going to talk about abuse. So these type of themes can trigger people.
Yeah.
And so...
Trigger warning right here, guys.
Yeah, trigger warning. If you get triggered, you can put pause. You can come back to it whenever you feel up to it. So just want to throw those disclaimers.
No,
That's
that's
a
a
great
great
And,
disclaimer. Definitely.
just make sure that we hit those. So,
Yeah.
the before, I have to talk about who I am before. It's that, and I say it's a loaded question because of my experience. So I talked very briefly about it when we did the video, the relationship Q&A.
Yeah.
And I'm an adult survivor of childhood abuse. And basically, that means that I just had multiple traumas as a child growing up. So my childhood was full of that. So you could just imagine my relationships with men were not the healthiest. So when I first met Will, I was at a good place. But I didn't know how to trust. And that was my biggest thing.
Yeah.
So when Will and I start talking and getting to know each other, one of the things that I loved and still love about him is just that he's such a safe person. He made me feel safe. And so, our relationship before consisted a lot of him getting to know me and my triggers and getting to know that. So it wasn't like my story is not like your typical like, oh yeah, I dated, and it was this and that. It was more like very deep and dark, kind of. Wow. And it sounds kind of twisted, but it's not.
That's the truth.
It's just
it's
the
reality of the
reality.
situation. Yeah,
It was
no,
my
of
reality.
course.
So yeah, that's just kind of like a small blip to answer your question. So what has changed in our relationship? I would say we've grown so much. The attraction's still there. Thank God.
That's important.
That's super.
That's
Yeah, there you go.
Thank God. Attraction's still there. Growth, I would just say everything's been just going up. Growth, our communication's so much better, just where we're at in life. So I don't see it as so much as black and white. I've seen myself grow so much better in a relationship with him. So I can't say definitely these are key things, but I would just say growth has been the biggest one. And if I were to choose which I've enjoyed most, I would say marriage.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
No, I love how you brought up some key points like communication, the growth, the getting to know you. That's so key, especially in that dating phase. And for you, it was a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
Because, learning those triggers that you had and understanding. And that takes, a lot for you to open up and being able to be vulnerable with Will.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important when, it comes to this process of dating, right? Like number one, he wanted to get to know you. He wanted to take that extra step in understanding. And then, but we see that also you opened up as well. And I bet you that was very, very difficult for you at that time.
Very hard. How do I say it? I grew up as a tomboy. So I was your friend. I was with the guys. I chilled with the guys. That's how. But that's funny. That's how my trauma. That's how I was able to navigate. I was scared of men, so I befriended men.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that.
You see the logic? It's weird, but it was kind of like I'm scared of them, but I could be their friends, and they can protect me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And growing up, I was a tomboy. I was playing sports. Soccer, basketball, football, you name it. I just played all the sports with the guys. And so I was the friend, the girl friend that would, the guys would come up to me and be like, hey, I have issues with this girl.
Oh, yo,
so you're that person.
You're that friend.
Oh, okay. Now
I was that friend.
Yeah.
I think everyone, to our listeners, everybody has that friend.
I saw your eyes, and you guys thought of someone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I know.
yeah.
I know who that is.
Yup.
Definitely.
So I was that friend. I was not cute. I was the ugly duckling. But, I was in my world. I was fine. I didn't care. But it was until I was older that I realized, yo, how come nobody's asking for my number? And that kind of, it stinked. It sucked. And so all these people, all my friends were pretty, beautiful, just from from the inside out.
Hold on, just a disclaimer. You're saying all these things as if she's not beautiful.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Like,
That's
I'm
what
like,
I'm
Connie,
gonna say.
relax, dude.
Yeah, Connie.
I'm talking about back then. I'm fine now.
Oh, okay.
All right.
There you go. No.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I should
Thanks,
just
Kevin,
kept
for that.
going with this role and more compliments. But no, back then it was just kind of like, man, like why aren't guys coming up to me asking for my phone number or like asking me on dates? So I always thought I was intimidating.
Interesting.
That's a thought I still have. I was probably intimidating. But so like my relationships, I didn't date a lot. And I didn't really date just like random people. Usually it was like I was friends first. So, yeah.
So actually, can we talk about that? Because that was actually going to be the next question I was going to ask is how did you navigate dating when you were younger?
Right.
And so I guess what I would ask is what's your thought process during that time of why befriend people first instead of dating?
Yeah. First, it's how do I say it? It goes back to the whole basis of trauma. The people that abused me were close people.
Yeah.
And the one is specific, the sexual trauma, that was a friend of the family. He was like a father figure. So you could just imagine how distorted that made my mind. To like, so even if you get to know someone as a friend, it's still kind of like a mistrust. But it wasn't as bad as someone like completely random that you just don't know anything. So in my mind, it was always like, let's be friends. Let's see who you are. I need to see where you're at in life. I need to see when you get mad. I just needed to know how are you as a person. So that was my mentality of being friends, getting to know the person. Because I there was no way I was going to date someone like on Tinder or like it was just impossible. My mind wouldn't let me. So yeah.
Wow. I get that. I totally do. We talked about that last week. You know how, with me, that's one thing that I have trouble with, like meeting somebody new and like no background, right? Nothing.
Yeah.
Like my head, I need to know, right? Like I have to be able to understand, and then from there, then I can like think and make the next step. So I definitely understand.
So you would say like you would want to be friends with.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, I do want to be friends. But this is where the problem starts coming in, especially nowadays, is that there's the friend zone, right?
It's like you want to try to avoid it as much as possible.
You want to try to avoid it much as possible.
It gets messy.
But at the same time, you do want to get to know them better. But then this is where mentality and starts changing, right? Like, how do I go about it without her just thinking, oh, this is just a really good friend that I can trust? Because I think this is another question. Do you think you led guys on because you're super tomboyish?
Talk.
Like, do you think, and did you mean it? Like, did you have to go through those situations? Like, I'm just wondering, right? Because I'm sure, you're every guy's friend, and there's always those couple guys that they're like, you're too nice to them, and they're like, oh, she's into me, right?
Man, that's such a cringe question. You made me cringe.
Oh. No.
This talk is about cringing you.
No, we're here now.
Okay. Friend zone is definitely messy. One, because you don't want to ruin the relationship, right?
Yeah.
You like it. It's your homie, bros, whatever you want to call each other. And for girls, it's really complicated because then you get into this level of intimacy.
Yes.
And you almost function like a girlfriend, but not the stuff.
Yeah, not the other stuff, right?
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know if you guys get me.
No,
Like,
I totally get you.
So the reason why, like, I'm glad you asked that because I think I've seen it in not necessarily with myself, but I think it's actually here's a funny story actually, and I won't drop names, but.
That'd be bad, bro.
That'd be so bad, so messy,
bad.
so quick.
Yeah.
No, but I feel like when you have that kind of dynamic, right? When you have that friend, that girl who happens to be a friend, who's really really close. She's basically like one of the guys, like always around, whatnot. I guarantee you, everybody in that group at one point has had, their so and so phase.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, and then you try to rationalize a little more. It's like, hold up, no, like she's actually just really cool. You know, and the reason why I bring that up is because, I hear it from friends. They'll bring that friend along one day and they'll introduce him to friends and like, hey, yo, do you two got something? Like, I saw that chemistry, like that looked good. You know, it's like, nah, dude, like
There's nothing
she's
there.
like one of the bros.
Yeah, it's like my little sister.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But it's definitely interesting, that dynamic, because I think it's a huge problem nowadays.
Yeah.
And I think one thing a lot of people do is navigating the friend zone. Like, how much do I talk to them? Because it's true, right? You want to get to know somebody, and you become very intimate with them, right? And you're opening up, and you're like, wow, I trust this person.
Yeah.
But in a way, it doesn't work like with everybody, right? But in a way, like, you're like, oh wow, maybe this is somebody that I could possibly date. And I think another thing is like mindset too, right? Like, is the guy going into it thinking I want to date her, or is it that something that just builds over time? Because that happens a lot as well. That eventually, I think we both had examples of individuals who they just started off as friends, but then they realize, oh my goodness, we have great chemistry. I actually trust you. Let's date.
Yeah.
But that friend zone is dangerous.
It's so messy. It's so crazy. Like I've lost a lot of friendships because of it.
Mm.
One, because I've been in a sticky situation, like I fell for them, like best friend, like, and was there to hear all of the problems, like all of their girl problems, whatever they needed, go out, let's go out, And it was weird because, when you think about it, they're getting all the benefits of a relationship.
Yeah.
But
not the commitment.
Not the commitment, not the
title.
responsibility, not the whole thing. And so there was one that I would say that really hurt me that I had to walk away.
Mm.
Wow.
And that was like heartbreaking because it's like your friend, it's like that bro.
Yeah.
And I had to step away because it was just consuming me. And it was very interesting because later on he recognized that he actually had feelings for me.
Wow.
But I
Too late, bro.
Too late, man.
Yeah,
You're done. You're out.
and it was really hard because this is what you've been wanting this whole time.
Yeah.
And then you have it, but a part of me had already just shifted. I had already kind of like closed it, and so I knew it wasn't going to work out. Now, the question that you asked was leading. I have led.
Yeah.
Not intentionally.
Okay.
Not like, he's into me, like I'm gonna keep it going. A lot of times it was like friendships that I was just being myself and it led and then they just like tell their emotions and all this stuff and I'm like,
so what do you do in that situation?
Yeah, what do you think is the right way to go about it? Do you do what you did with a friend? I mean, I know with everybody's different, but there's some guys who they're gonna keep on trying to get out the friend zone. There's other girls who perhaps are gonna try to get out. And so, what is the right way? If you get too invested, do you just say like you did? You close the book and move forward, or?
So look, I did something very unhealthy. This is what I did. I ghosted them. Yeah, I know.
Poor guy.
Because I freaked out. It was like, that's how I reacted. Now, if you tell me now, Connie, I wouldn't have done that. But in the moment, I literally just freaked. And there were times that I would just freak. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do. So I get it. I understand when you're in those situations that you're like freaking out. It's like, how do you salvage it?
Is there?
Can you
salvage it?
And it's hard because if someone just opens their heart to you and you just reject them, is it really that easy to just move on?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Has that ever happened to you guys?
It hasn't happened to me, but it's happened to people that I know.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think it's messy. That's the thing.
Yeah, it is messy.
I've ghosted before, and it's messy, man. It's not good.
I don't know if I have, but when it comes to those friends that have been in moments like that, I think the being in there, the thing that I advised was not to ghost. Because I don't, for me, like that's never been something that I do. I feel like I at least owe it to that person to just, talk and close the book, bring that closure into that situation. But, I think it's different. It's different when you're so in your case, you were super close to this person or they were super close to you. It's different when, you have like a regular friendship, and someone else like really likes you or whatever, and you don't realize it. That's happened before. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Sorry. Like, I don't see it that way. It hurts a little more, but I feel like you should be able to step away, not necessarily ghosting, right? But at least establishing like, hey, I need some time away right now to deal with this. And then, come back to it at some point later once, wounds have healed and you feel ready to have that conversation. And then that's when you can actually, close the book or open another chapter and move in a different direction.
Yeah. I totally agree.
That's a healthy way, for sure. But I think it gets hard. Sometimes you just freak out, like you say, and you just it's the only way you know how to get out of it. Yeah. And is it bad, right? I think it is, right? I don't think it's the right way.
I don't think it's
but I think it's a normal reaction, and people are bound to do it, and I'm sure people have done it, and but I do think there should always be some closure.
Yes, and so that's why old Connie, that's how she reacted. It's my story. I ghosted, or I just freaked out and I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But there were some actually that I did. I wrote back to them and I just told them I just couldn't. And then the friendship just kind of ended because there was just no way.
Yeah.
And so I agree. I agree that now I'm the type of person that I'll confront and see where they're at. If they need time and space to gather themselves, to heal, because it's hurtful, when someone doesn't accept your opening of the heart,
your love.
Yeah.
And so, so I completely agree with you, Kevin, that there should be closure. That it's a level of maturity. I was not mature in that situation.
Yeah.
I freaked out, and so I completely agree with you.
Cool. I guess the direction we can go in now is, we've kind of mentioned, a little bit of how you've had your experiences being able to lead people and like people being led on and whatnot. But what would you say, do you think is probably the best way to go about dating? Like for those who are actually, considering, all aspects, we can go in any direction here. Like, what would you,
it's
all game. Let's go.
Let's go.
Well, that's a good question. I'm formulating here.
Like, what have what have you seen? I mean, because here's the thing. I know Kevin and I, we've talked about this. There's so much nowadays when it comes to dating, right? Like, first you have to talk to the person, and then you become a thing, right? I don't even know what a thing is, but you're a thing, and now all of a sudden,
DTR eventually.
Okay, you know what?
Then you're dating.
Let's go here. What is dating? I think because everybody has a different view of dating. Mm-hmm. And when I was thinking about our conversation that we're going to have today, I kept thinking, what is their view of dating? Like, what's the view of dating today? Because some people view dating as like, I'm going on multiple dates with different people.
Yeah.
So I'm actively dating.
Yeah.
The others are like, oh, I'm in a relationship with someone. That's for them. Being in a relationship is dating for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's like, so I kind of want to know, what do you guys think? What is dating?
I've heard it both ways, right?
Yeah.
I have friends who they're like, oh, dating is actively dating multiple people at once, right?
Yeah.
That's not me though. I'm the opposite. I'm like, if I'm dating, that means I'm in a relationship.
Right.
That's how I perceive it.
I'm a 90s baby, so I'm very old fashioned.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Maybe not all 90s babies are like this.
But you're a millennial, technically.
I am a millennial.
You're a millennial,
yes.
so
I'm still there. I'm like,
Trust me, I'm on the very tail end. I'm like that in between where I'm still considered a millennial, but I can also be considered Gen Z.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 25.
23.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. So
I'm in good company.
Yeah. So I think
We're not talking to babies, don't worry.
Yeah, no, we're good, definitely. So I think it's good with that. per se, when it comes to dating. And I see, but the problem is, like you said, I think I've definitely run into people who have different ideas of dating. Um, and one thing that we don't really have is that conversation of like, okay, what is your idea of dating, right? Because I, as a guy, right, I'm gonna go about it as the way I think that, oh, this should go, and take those steps, right, that I would want in my relationship. But perhaps they're like, maybe the other way, they're like, oh, I'm dating you, and then I'm talking to another guy, and then I'm talking to another guy. So you're just like, oh, so where does that leave me?
Yeah. And so that's why I think having a clear definition of what you think is dating is key.
Yeah.
And then, see, this is where it gets messy. The whole friend zone dating. And so, like, let's say, for example, you're gonna go and see a girl. Like, I mean, you meet a girl, and she's cool, she's friendly, she's beautiful, she's everything you ever dreamed of, and you start becoming friends. Then it becomes the chase,
The chase, the game.
And then it's like, how do you keep the boundaries of not a friend, but not a girlfriend? It's weird.
Honestly, I think it's impossible sometimes.
It's weird because you're like, well, I don't want to be your friend, and I don't want to be in the friend zone, and then I don't want to like come across and be like,
Yeah.
No,
I feel that.
That's funny.
And what, you guys are looking like you guys have something that you think.
No, you're speaking to Joseph's soul right now.
No. I think it's. I think it's the
Please
hardest.
tell us.
No, I think it's the hardest thing
Is there a
with
check?
dating. No, there's.
You have to say it now. There's a lot of girls that are listening to
No, Connie.
No, but that's the beauty. There isn't someone, but like I think this is just from past conversations we've had.
Yeah.
This is why like we have this like this
This
aura,
look,
this vibe, like,
That's right.
because like we're thinking of
And
it.
Connie's just like,
I'm
Joseph,
like,
I want it. Give it to me right now. Give it to me. I think, because like I was talking about last week, was it's different being a pastor too and dating.
We will go into that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and because there's being a pastor, right? Then there's, because I work with young adults, so you have that aspect, and then you find it difficult to navigate because it's worse now because the friend zone I think has grown even bigger. Because there's, I want to be friends with all the young adults. I want to, take them out to eat. Like, that is my plan. I want to help them build a relationship. So I think it gets difficult. But no, I mean, I think just navigating, at least for me, I think it's always been difficult to navigate the friend zone just because I've always been good friends with a lot of people. I think especially, I have a tight group of friends, and those are the individuals that once I get to know them, like, okay, and now I trust them, like, it's really tight. And that's where it's going to be. So... And it's not to say, like, sometimes you catch feelings, right? But sometimes you just, like, you realize, oh, that's not it. You're just catching feelings because of how much time you spend with that person. So you move on. And I think that's something to understand. Like, it's not bad for you to catch feelings for somebody, like somebody who you're really close friends with, right? Yeah. But you have to have that talk within yourselves and decide, like, is this real, right? Is this something that, it can be more? Or is it just, like, you just feeling a little bit lonely? Is there somebody you trust? And I think personally, I've definitely made that decision multiple times. I'm like, you know what? It's a moment of loneliness where you're like, oh, I think this would be more. And then, you sleep on it, you pray about it, and then you're like, oh, next day you're back to normal. Yeah. But I think it's definitely something that, people deal with all the time. Yeah. And it's super hard. And no, there's not anybody right now that comes to mind. But
he's just saying that. We'll talk about this off camera. It's okay, Joseph.
No. Oh, Connie.
I'm making you cringe a little.
Oh, I'm cringy.
Yeah.
My body is like really tense right now.
Ladies that are out there, well, you heard it here today. You're gonna get the inside scoop.
Yes. They have to bring me for part 2.
I feel like we're gonna have to make a part 2. This is such a good conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, I mean, it's such a messy space, like you said, because sometimes you are lonely. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you are wanting a relationship. And usually the ones closest to you are the ones that you're going to look at.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense too.
You're going to be like, So I honestly, I don't have answers for like everybody, but I
you're
would
the,
just.
you're the relationship
my
You're,
person.
you're our hitch, dude.
Yeah, you're Hitch.
Or
Have you
our
ever seen
Hitch.
Hitch?
Well, okay. I can be a personal hit. I can be for thousands. But no, I would say
Thousands.
We don't
You
get
don't get thousands.
you will. You will. But no, I will say this. It starts with you. It starts with me. What is it that I'm wanting? What is it that you're wanting? Is it just a momentary thing? Is it actually a relationship? You know, if it's a friend, don't think of like, am I going to ruin the relationship? Because I always tell this to people like that ask me about relationship advice, and I always tell them this: we only have one life. We only have one life to live.
Yep.
Like, there comes a time that we don't have a lot of time. We just don't, and it's better to just figure it out. You know, like, come to your friend and be like,
so you're all about the go for it mentality. Like,
I am.
I like it.
I am.
that is
I'm
all
all for
Kevin.
it.
See, that's Kevin right
just
there.
do it.
Just
do
go
it.
for it.
Because you know what? Look, I think we are afraid of rejection.
Of course.
Every single person hates rejection.
Absolutely.
But this is the thing, and my therapist always would tell me this: you fall, you get up, you wipe you just like dust yourself off, and you keep moving forward.
That's right.
Sheesh.
You know, like.
But that's so hard to do,
It's
you know?
hard.
Because when you get down, I'm not gonna lie, I
down.
just want to stay on the floor and take a nap at that point, you know?
Yo, I know. But that's why you have a village. That's why you have friends.
Ring the bell.
You know,
the
like
bell.
that's why you
That's
have
so-
Kevin.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Oh.
and
From the village.
You're the village.
He's the village. You know, that's why you have Kevin. Like, let's say I talk to you because he's in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm married.
You're married.
But so I have to use you as an example.
You're
It's
the
all
guinea
good.
pig, bro.
I am the guinea pig. I was last week, this week again. You know, it's all good. Let's just keep it going.
But yeah, that's why you have people that you're surrounded that love you.
Yeah.
That when you can't pick yourself up, they're gonna help you.
Oh no, definitely. I know that, and we've seen it. We see it all the time, right? And you know, back when and as we were talking about, I think one thing you have to do in dating nowadays is definitely tell the person this is my idea of dating, right? You know, like this is my idea, because I'll be honest, I'm not down for somebody who's gonna be like, oh, I'm dating a bunch of guys at once. Like, it doesn't sit well with me, right? And I think if you make that known to the person, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be dating other people as well, then it becomes a much easier, you know, way to move forward, you know. So I love how you brought that up.
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. I think you do have to establish like, so this is where it's really interesting, because I enjoy what we've talked about in different aspects. The first one is, yes, you definitely have to make it known, right? Especially if you're saying, hey, I want to take you out, but I want to let you know, like, if I'm gonna take you out, you're the only person I'm going after. Right? And you have to make sure you are both on the same page, because then there's that dynamic, like, is it a date? Is it not a date? You know?
Gosh, so yes.
You know,
Yes.
because I think there's this idea you're trying to get to know somebody, right? So you take them out a couple times. And Connie, what do you think? Do you, after you take them out a couple times, like, I guess not unofficial dates, right? You're just taking them out in your head,
see,
right?
Yeah, that's where I get kind of like, I'm more of like, let's be clear, is this a date? Yes or no?
Okay.
I'm like,
No,
that's,
absolutely.
and I think everybody wants clarity.
Oh, of course.
This is what I was gonna say, like, before you know, you guys interject. Communication. I think that we lack, especially us young adults, lack clear communication.
Yeah.
We don't know how to talk.
Yep.
Like, honestly, we
we
go
don't.
we go around the bush, and
Should see
it's
the
the
way I
game.
text.
Yep.
You know, it's like the movie Hitch. I mean, the whole concept of dating is like, you know, doing this and manipulating this, and it's like, how come we don't just like be very clear of our intentions?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
you know, someone were to come to Joseph and be like, well, I mean, I'll do the other way around, because probably you don't want the girl pursuing you.
So okay, let's talk about. Let's come back to that after.
Yeah, let's
but
come
finish
back.
your thought. Finish your thought.
Yeah, finish
I do want to, like, I do definitely want to talk about that.
Man, you
Like-
got me. I was like, oh, goodness.
This is therapy.
This is therapy. I'm a therapy session.
No, but
That's
like,
something
you know, for
funny.
Joseph, let's say I'm Joseph, like, coming up to a girl, like, I like you, and I would love to take you out to dinner. And it would be a date. And I would pick you up, and I would pay for your meal. Very clear, very concise. That's it. Are you interested? Would you like to go on a date with me? Like, I think that's so hard.
It is.
To fully, like, raw, vulnerable, just say it. I'm all for that. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Like,
How I Met Your Mother doesn't teach you this, by the way.
No, but here's the thing,
Or
though.
Friends.
You know what? Like, if I was a girl and I was put in that position, like, I'd probably say yes.
Yo, Kevin,
No, I'm just saying, like, it's straightforward. Hey, you know what? There's no game. It's just, hey, I want to take you out. Because
definitely.
Because when and I'll just say this very briefly. When it came to Vanessa, like, I did take her out to lunch once, and it wasn't a date, or an official date, And the second time we went out, I told her, I was like, hey, I want to take you out, because I told her, like, this is how I feel about you. Yeah. I want to take you out.
Yeah.
I basically
confidence.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because at that
exuding right now.
I know. Look at him. He's so proud. I love it. Look at him. He's thinking back on those memories.
Dude, those are good memories.
I'm gonna ask Vanessa if you're this confident when you asked her.
No, dude, I was sweating. I was terrified. But you know what? At least I feel like if you put yourself out there, at least if you are intentional, if you are straightforward, there is no game. You lay it all out, and then you put the ball in their court versus not knowing where the heck the ball is to begin with.
With Will, so we would have dated earlier, but because we were in a Bible worker program, we couldn't date.
Can't do that. No.
We were bound by rules. So at the end of the program,
spicier.
Wow,
Kevin.
It's true. I've been there.
Yeah. It was pretty intense emotions there. But anyways, the night of the graduation, he pulled me to a room and he sat me down and he told me that he loved me.
Whoa!
Dang, he told you.
Whoa, my guy!
Yeah.
That's why he's my senior pastor right there. There you go.
Like, he wanted to go out with me, and
did he say he loved you?
Wait, now I'm trying to remember. No, I'm just kidding. No. I'm sorry. He told me that a couple of weeks later. That day, he said that he liked me. Yeah, sorry, I confused it. He
I feel like I'd be scared if I was like they said they loved me. I was like, oh.
No. He liked me. Yeah, because a few weeks later we told each other we loved each other. Because we had been friends. Yeah. And we had already known each other, and I just knew, like, I just loved him and he loved me, and so it was cool. Anyways, but going back, like, what I loved was Will was just straightforward.
Yeah.
And then he told me, like, he was gonna take me on a date, and we went on dates, but by then I was like, he's my guy. So there was like no issue with that. But yeah. So I think we need to work on communication, and I think we need to start talking about it. To how do you talk to people in a very clear, concise manner? Yeah. I was taking communications as a major, so that's why I'm coming up.
Let's go.
Com majors.
I was, please. I was like psych, com, you name it. But anyways, but no, I really believe clear communication, but it all starts with you. Where are you at? What do you want? Because you're going to confuse the other person if you don't know what you want.
Yeah.
So I say, you want exclusive, then you say you want exclusive.
Come on.
Preach it, Connie.
No games.
If you want to just date, I just want to take you on a date, get to know who you are. Doesn't mean that we're exclusive, but I just want to get to know who you are. That's very clear and concise for both parties. And then you're not left with, is this a date?
Yeah.
Is this not a date? And then people get confused because it's like, are we friends? Are we,
Yeah.
I think we need to establish, like, hey, I want to be friends. Then people know we're going to be friends. So
I think, not to mention also, and I think what you just said is perfect, because that goes for whether you are the type of person that dates just one person or likes to date, multiple people.
Right.
I feel like as long as there's communication, you're saving yourself a lot of hurt, and you're saving the other person a lot of hurt as well.
Yeah.
So
communicating is so integral. It's just hard, right? I think even just the way we communicate nowadays, like, right? Because now the question is, do you have this, I would have it in person, but that's because I'm old school, kind of, right? But most kids nowadays, they're gonna take out their phone and be like, "All right, Connie said to text them. I mean, to talk to them. Let's ask her real quick. Hey, do you want to go out on a date with me?
Oh no.
Is that okay?"
Look, I'm 30, and I'm like cringing at just the thought of being asked by phone.
Oh
like,
my gosh, don't do it.
Don't do
Like,
it.
Unless you're on Tinder, I feel like Tinder's a little different.
Or Bumble.
Yeah.
Or, like any dating app, you know. Like,
But that's
like-
different.
But so okay, I feel like so. First of all, we're obviously this is gonna be a longer one. So at some point, I'm gonna cut us off and say like, all right, this is the end of part 1 of our podcast. We're gonna come back to second part 2,
Definitely.
and we'll just
This is so
continue.
funny,
And then we'll just continue recording because there's still a good amount of stuff that I want us to be able to touch on. But if we can kind of expand, and as this last segment is, you know, for how do you navigate then, you know, when it comes to talking to someone, whether it be, you know, our thoughts on dating apps, you know, or our thoughts on how to approach people, and let's also go back to what if the girl's the one who initiates and it's not the man, you know, because I think in this day and age, right, there are people, you know, there's both sides. You know what? For me personally, I'd rather be the one to ask, but I'm sure, you know what, in some cases, the girl should be the one to ask. And I think we, you know, how to navigate all this is definitely something that is we should talk about.
Yeah.
You want to go?
You
Do you want to be
already.
pursued?
You know, I think it's a good question. I don't think I've ever thought about it.
Yeah.
That's the real thing. So I can't say I've never had the idea of a girl pursuing me.
What is? I would ask you this.
Also say just speaking to the mic.
Oh, sorry. I would ask this. What is your idea of being pursued?
I think that they're the one who are like, hey, do you want to go out on a date? That would be my.
It would just be that one thing, not like I'm not saying the whole time like they're like keep asking you and like just if a girl were to ask you for one date, would that be weird?
No.
You hesitated.
Yeah.
Way to call him out. Let's ruin friendships today.
I'm thinking about this because I've just never thought about it. Like I've never given a lot. I've always been the one to pursue. I've always been. I mean, that's just how I was taught. You know, that's how So, but the way things are, like, you know, how society has progressed nowadays, I don't think it's wrong. Would I feel a little bit uncomfortable? Yeah, I won't lie, I will. But will I be like, okay, let's do it? Yes, I will. It would just definitely catch me off guard. Like, that's for sure.
So you need a heads up.
No, I feel like there should, no.
Denise, you can hit me up and then I'll just
No, I feel like there would be an indication because obviously, like this is gonna happen if he's
killing me.
aware. You know, this is gonna happen if, you know, obviously some girl's not gonna unless like she's ballsy. You know, like she's not gonna
I think
just.
for the most part, I would know if like
Yeah.
they like me because, you know, I'm not oblivious. You know.
Yeah, you pick up the cues.
You pick up the cues. You pick up the thing.
some
But if
people are
they,
really good at, like,
you're right, they might be really good. But if they want, I guess you can.
You heard it today, ladies.
Oh,
if you wanna
stop
ask,
it.
if you wanna ask Pastor Joseph out on a date,
You guys
blow
are
up
gonna-
them
you guys
DMs.
are
Ask him in
killing
person.
me.
Let's go.
I'm kidding.
Nobody's gonna.
No, but you know what?
Nobody will.
I think for males it's a little different because it's been passed down. The guy is the one that pursues.
Yep.
And so for girls, I don't think I've ever asked a guy on a date. Yeah, I don't think I have. Because I was always taught that the woman shouldn't pursue.
Yeah.
That's how I was taught. And now if you ask me today, yes, I think I'd probably ask because I'm not the type of person, I hate miscommunication. And I would be more upfront, like, you know, I see that we are talking and I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. You want to go on a date? Get to know each other. Like, do we want to move forward? Not. Do we want to be friends? Like, I'm that person now. That's who I am.
Yeah.
So I probably would ask if I'm not seeing there's like a lot of hesitancy. I'd be like, okay, what's the question?
Yeah.
What is it? Like, is there something wrong about me? Like, you know, like, let's talk. And that's just how I am.
No, but I feel like right now there's so much confidence in being able to say this, you know.
Yeah.
But she's married.
Yeah,
you know,
she's married. Yeah, it's
she can
much
say it.
easier for you to
I'm
be like.
married, you know, I'm married, but I know who I am and now how I approach my relationships.
Yeah.
Now I'm more direct.
Yes.
I see that. And I always put myself in someone's shoes and I'm like, yeah, I'd probably just go up to them and I'm like, there's nothing to lose.
Absolutely.
You're right. There is
That's
nothing to lose.
Worst case scenario, they say no.
Yeah, and it's just you move on forward, and it hurts and it sucks, but I think you can do it.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, I am married, so I'm not in the world of dating right now. So, but I think that if it's someone that you see yourself with, I think it's just gonna come naturally.
Okay, and I have a question for you.
Yes.
So, like, you dating somebody, should you go into the relationship thinking that, oh, I'm gonna marry this person?
I got stuff
Okay.
to say, but I want to hear what she's got
Yeah,
to say.
you first.
I don't like playing games. I don't like the, how do I say it? I there was a question that was there of if oh yeah, it's
Here,
Who
let
is
me
it?
read
Can you
it.
read it?
I was gonna do that part too, but we're
Yeah.
already on it. Let's do
Yeah.
it. All right. Where is it? Oh, is it good to be in a relationship that you know isn't
Yes.
going to lead to marriage?
Yes. Okay. I think there's two things about that. One, if you already entered with that mentality, that's one. The other one is you learn halfway through your relationship or in your relationship, that's not the person you want to marry. Two different perspectives. So
Yep.
I'll talk about number one. I think number one, it's not about whether it's good or bad. It's does the other person know that that's where you're at?
Sheesh.
Yeah.
That's where I
Communication again, right?
It's one thing if, let's say, Kevin is like, yeah, I don't see Vanessa as my future spouse, but I'm just going to be in this relationship.
We're just here for fun.
I have a problem with that
I'm gonna tell you
because
that.
this is the issue. You're getting all the benefits. You're benefiting in some way.
Yep.
You're getting fed in your emotional cup, spiritually, physically, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And Vanessa might be in her mind like marriage, like long term. I'm giving, so like let's make this work as one. I have a problem with that because I don't think that's fair. I never think that it should be a one-way thing.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the aspect, I don't agree. But if it's clear for both parties that this isn't, you're not in the space of marriage, then I would say, hey, that's game. That's you guys.
Yeah.
That's all you. Now, if halfway through your relationship, you realize this isn't the person I want to marry, I would say you should probably stop or talk to the person. Like, what do they think? Again, it's sometimes we get too selfish and too into us that we don't think about the other person.
Yeah.
This is my thing now is that's someone's daughter, that's someone's son, that's someone's sister.
Yeah.
That's another human being that has emotions, that has dreams.
Yeah.
I could be robbing that person's time and emotions when they could be with the person that it's actually for them.
Yeah.
Why am I going to take in and let them fill everything like in me just because I want it in that moment?
Sheesh.
I'm not a present person. Like, I'm future.
Come on.
Dang.
Then that's the other thing. There's people that think present. It's in the now. And I'm like, that's cool, but is the other person in the now? Because if they're not, they should be made aware that you're just in the now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's all I have to say.
She just like,
Yeah, she was like, drop the ball. That's
right
it.
there.
No,
Take- do
I
what
mean,
you want.
I agree with you 100%. I know Kevin does too.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's not here to play games. I don't
No.
think.
Yeah.
I think especially. I don't think we should be here to play games.
Yeah.
I know many times that's how society wants us to think. Like, it's a game. It's try to figure out all of that. But the truth of that, I think a healthy Christian relationship is having that communication and being able to say, you know what, this is what I want, and
Yeah.
if this is you, then I'd love to journey with you on
Yep.
this together.
Yep.
I think I also want to add then, number one is if you're in it for the game, you ain't ready to be in a relationship. I think that's the first thing. If you're there to play games, you're not ready. and you're gonna hurt yourself, and you're for sure gonna hurt the other person. That's the first thing that I see in all of this. The second thing I would say is, when it comes to this conversation, I feel like at some point, and you mentioned it, I think the importance, and there's no such thing as over communication.
No.
I feel like if you feel a certain way, you should tell that other person that. If you guys are already in a relationship, you guys have established something, it's not fair to the other person if you're having these thoughts, if you're having these doubts, and you're questioning, do I still want to be with them? Is this going to lead to marriage or not? Like, you know what? Because sometimes I hear like, sometimes it feels so right, and then other times it just doesn't.
Yeah.
That's
And
not
it's
how
like,
it should be, man.
and my understanding when it comes to all this is relationships are hard.
Yep.
Right? They are hard.
Yeah.
But there should also be a level of easiness in them.
Oh yeah.
Because they should be able to the whole point of having that other person is for them to be able to breathe life into you, for you to breathe life into them, not there to ruin their life.
Yeah. I agree. And
Good job, Kevin.
Ring them bells.
Because he had this all scripted last night too, so he was,
I had
he
this
was
on my
ready.
heart for a while.
He's been ready.
no, I
I
agree. I actually, and I know that we're probably passing time, but
It's okay.
I did.
I think they'll forgive us for.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I think
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
good.
We're good.
We're good. We're I
I-
think we should be closing soon.
I think, like, for example, I had one person that I went on dates, and there was just something, like, it was not commitment. And I knew there was something. I won't say what it was. I already knew what it was. And so I was on the phone with them for, like, maybe an hour. And I was just telling them, this is what I'm observing. Call me when you're ready.
Wow.
That's some good.
That's
wow.
crazy, Connie. You.
I was young, too. So I did have my moments of clarity and
Yeah.
maturity.
Come on.
But I remember that one time that I just was like, you don't seem like you're ready to take this step. You let me know when you are.
Sheesh.
I did wait. They did text me about some random thing. I was like, yeah, are you texting me to tell me your decision? Because I'm not here to just chat.
Connie just
Like,
going.
I just wasn't, I was
Put him
like,
in his place.
because this is what happens. We put our foot down about putting boundaries. And what happens is that people tend to try to squeeze into that boundary and like cross it over. And I'm like, no. My boundary's here. I'm not going to chit chat with you. I'm not going to be your friend. I'm not going to do anything. Did you make a decision? Yes or no? They couldn't answer it. And that was my answer. I was like, that's it. I'm not going to give my time, my attention, my love, anything. The boundary has been set.
Come on.
So I'm all for it. Like, over communication is not a bad thing. But I think that it's all about educating ourselves how to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because we can vomit a
Yeah.
lot of information and think it's communication, but it's being effective. And that's why I say read. Read on how to communicate, how to talk, learning verbal cues, learning micro expressions, learning body language. It's all, we also have to take the step to educate ourselves how to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's where I come
Yeah.
from.
No, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think it's really important. I think when it comes to communication, and I don't know, but this is just what's popping into my mind right now, is communication has more to do with how the other person receives the information.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so you can
Yes.
be communicating something, and then the other person has no idea
Exactly.
what you're saying.
Exactly.
So when we communicate, we should definitely, and I have a problem with
Uh-huh.
this because I assume, and Joseph has a problem with this too.
Yes, I do.
Because-
I assume too much.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
they understand me.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
texted me randomly with no context. I'm like,
Yeah, I
You know?
assume. That's
Yeah.
my.
But-
I've
but-
always had that problem
yeah.
though, and I'm trying to work on it. But it's hard.
yeah,
I think it's super hard. You too. You
Yeah.
know?
I know that I do it, and I know Vanessa's the one that sees it the
Yeah.
most, and so I tell her, like, bear with me. I'm working on it because I know I have the problem. I just I have to be so much more intentional with what I'm
Yes.
saying.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
And I hate when people say, "Does that make sense?" And I'm like, that's like the phrase that I get cringy about.
Really?
Like, I don't think that we should ever say that because then
You're
we're
not
not making
communicating.
sense.
Mm.
Wow.
we doubt what we're saying.
No,
So
I'm
it's
trying
like,
to
does
think
that
what was
make
the last
sense?
time I said, does that make sense?
And like for example, with Will, sometimes I'm like, you get me, right? And then he's like, I got you. And so I'm like, I'm just like verbally just like throwing stuff at him. But we're, together. He gets me, he understands.
Yeah.
But I think it has to be very clear when you're beginning to date someone or you're in a relationship, like how to put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
And it's like making clarification. And the other person also too. Can you clarify what you meant by this?
Yeah.
And so I mean, we can go into deep
So,
into this.
so this is where I do want to
Yeah.
ask then. Do we want to do a part 2 and kind of just kind of cut this off right now and then just continue afterward?
Yeah, dude, let's do it.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
down.
down.
You, I'm
All right. So I guess just final thoughts on this part before we close.
I would say relationships and dating is very messy. You're not, for those that are listening that feel like you're not getting anywhere, I can say I understand. You're not alone. A lot of people are facing through it, especially through COVID. It's messy, but I do believe that by having clear communication, clear intentions, a lot of that messiness can kind of shift, into something beautiful experience.
Yeah.
And so I would say, there is hope. There's always hope. And there is a person. I'm a believer of there is a soulmate. There's people that believe that you have multiple soulmates. But I really believe that there is someone for everybody. And that's just the hopeless romantic in me. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
I think that's great. I think for our listeners out there, we definitely talked a lot, and this is what I appreciated about our conversation is we talked about a lot of different things, but I feel like we talked about them well, and I think the big thing that I want people to take away is be encouraged. You know what? Yes, relationships are messy, but yes, you know what? If you learn how to do it right, they can be the best thing ever.
But I would want people to take away it's a journey, it's a process. And to be honest, right now you may not be ready to go up to that person and say, hey, like, I like you, right? But in your mind, you have to start preparing and be like, what is it do I want? Do I want to play the game? Do I want to be in this relationship? Do I like this individual? And you have to come to terms with your thoughts and pray about it and be like, God, what is it that you want? And if this is it, then guess what? I'm going to go for it. Right. And be able to do that. And, at least for me personally, that's always been a little bit difficult, right? To go out and, I guess, take that step. But at the same time, that was like years ago when I was much younger, right? And you grow and you realize, hey, this is a lot of years of experience, right? And being married and having to go through so much. And with Kevin as well, dating for 3 years, and myself, and all the past relationships I've been in. And it's you're going to continue to grow. You are going to make mistakes. And you are going to probably get your heart broken, perhaps, right? At one point or another. That's just the truth of the situation. But as long as you feel happy with your decision, you can be like, hey, this was best. Now I can move on and get on forward with my life and find that person and ongoing.
Yep. Good stuff, guys. Well, we want to thank you again, Connie, for joining us
you.
today
We
at
appreciate
Elevate.
it.
It's been great.
No, are you kidding me? I love
This
it.
is
It's funny.
great. I think
we're gonna have this for a video on YouTube, and then we can go back, and I'm gonna look how cringy I am, and
man.
it's gonna be
awesome. It's gonna be awesome. But hey, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube, Elevate San Diego. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram at Elevate the Name. You listen to our podcast, whether it be on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube. We thank you so much for joining us today on Elevate. It's been awesome.
See you guys.